One viewer, gotta be a bot. I mean, almost as soon as I start, there's one person viewing, but it's gotta be a bot. It's gotta be. Here's to the bot. Make sure I'm not gonna do anything egregious or. Tyrell is not a bot. Okay, I take that back, Tyrell. Thank you for joining the live cast, Mr. Tyrell Hoare. Mr. and Mrs. Tyrell? Anyhow, as usual, this is sponsored by the finest beer money can buy legally, Guinness. So for those of you that are watching, will be watching, etc., what I have is an update on some things I've accumulated, some things I'm yet to accumulate, and some thoughts regarding both of those. So let's just start because we got a long way to go and a short time to get there, as the song goes. Now here's something. So my birthday took place recently, as it seems to do every year about this time of the year, and there's nothing I can do about that. I've tried to fix that where it doesn't happen anymore, but it doesn't work. It keeps happening. So what I have is, oh, that said, so I was able to accumulate some things because of that. Maybe a little extra disposable income in hand, so I put that to use, right? Something I've just been curious about and wanted for a while, Battle Cry. This is now I've screwed up with everything inside, falling 150th Civil War Anniversary Edition. There is, I believe, the really, really old edition, and not, in my opinion, worth owning, and then the proper first edition of this particular. No, I take that back. I think that's something separate completely, that old 60s, 70s version. So this is the second edition. There's a first edition, of course, goes without saying. As more things fall, because I hold it the way that I do. Big fan of this commands and color system, which is essentially what this is. And the thing that sets this apart from the other, most of the other games in the system is the fact that you have miniatures instead of blocks. That's not why I bought this. I bought this because, why did I buy this? I bought this because it was a decent price. I didn't have it. As I said, I've always been curious, and this is something I can modify, which is my modus operandi, very easily to my liking, and everything I need is included by way of battles and scenarios and such. So I'm trying to halfway straighten this up the way it was, because it's going to bother me if it's not. Yeah, so you get for those of you not familiar with this, you get the little guys, which again is not why I bought this, but Civil War, they're not bad. I mean, for what you get, you could do worse. And again, when I get to the end, towards the end of this live cast, you'll understand better why I'm leaning more towards these commands and colors games. I pretty much have all of them at this point, except for maybe 3, and that would be in the Ancient series. So pick this up. This was in fact ordered. I just got back from St. Louis a while ago, and this was ordered from there. Jesus, it's hot. All right. This thing here, with struggles and pants and sweats, would normally be on, but then you wouldn't be able to hear me. So I have 3 of these in my house. 3 of those, and they can barely keep up in this heat. So what else? Bought yet another, which makes probably 6 or 7 now. Another Risk game specifically for the figures, and that should let you know that I plan on boosting my Napoleonic troops. I'm going to rebase them and base them so that they're more appearance-wise, well, physically, etc. So it looks more impressive on the table. It's really not a functional thing as much as an aesthetic thing. So, and again, you'll find out why later. Then we have, I went to a store in St. Louis while I was there because my brother hit me to this. And this is a store called Slackers, and it's kind of like, I forget the name of that chain of stores, but they sell video games. It's like nationally known. It's a store similar to that. And I don't know why or how, but of all the stuff in there, sitting on a shelf was this. And I don't have this. Well, I didn't have this. Now I do. So I picked this up. I couldn't believe it was there, and I had to liberate it. So grabbed this. I have the Eastern Front tank leader game, and I think this, unless I'm mistaken, the system was started by John Hill. Now, I don't know that he had a hand specifically in this Western Front edition. It says by Leonard Qualm, but I do believe, if memory serves, this was started by John Hill. But anyway, this is the Western Front version. So now I have both West and East. And then what else we have? Things I haven't even opened yet. We have, I just went ahead and did it. I didn't have any of them. Now I have most of them. I didn't have any Ancients. Now I have 3 of them. Well, four expansions. 2 are combined in one box. I don't have the Spartans. Can't find it. It's out of print. I don't have the Epic. And I think there's one other. But this looks really cool. Again, obviously fan of the system. And I thought maybe that'd be a good way to crack into some of this ancient stuff. Expansion number 1, Greece versus the Eastern Kingdoms. I haven't even opened it, still in the shrink. And expansions 2 and 3, Rome versus the Barbarians, the Roman Civil Wars. Yep. So there's that. And then, of course, Commands and Colors Medieval with Marco Omni Gamer on the cover. That's not Marco? Sorry. And I did bust this out and put it on the table, and I liked it. Started the first scenario. And these are all blocks, no miniatures included here. You're going to get purple and, what is it, gold? Purple and gold blocks. Yeah, goldish yellow blocks. And I'm very pleased with this. And again, we'll get to why this is important in a second. On the table over here is still that weird proof of concept World War II miniatures on poker chips idea that for some reason I think is a good idea. I could be highly mistaken. Yeah, Marco, right? But right, it's Belisarius. You're correct. You're right. I was trying to make a joke. So yeah, I still have that on the table. Oh, I also have and this I haven't even opened from the. This shows you where I'm at with stuff. I got more stuff than I know what to do with. This is from. Where the hell is this from? I don't know. Some guy in Texas, right? This is more 28mm British line Napoleonics because it was unbalanced. The number of French that I have that I can put on the table compared to the number of British is off, so I had to bring their end up. I did have it offset with Prussians, but I just wanted straight British, and so that'll help balance that out. And then the main event. Let me see if I can get. I'm gonna have to maneuver the camera and do some negotiating with some space here in a second. All right, let's see if I can do this. So what I need to do is, bear with me here, guys. I don't even know if this is going to work. This is going to look weird, so I need to get this camera here on here. Does that make sense? This should make sense, right? But I need to get it where you can see what I'm looking at. That's the best way I can. Here we go. let's try it this way. So I have the, I have the, there we are. Wow, isn't that cool? All right, so I can't see when I go to the screen. I want you to see. I can't see what you guys are looking at, so you have to tell me. I'm going to flip back. And one of you guys do me the favor of telling me if you can see the screen that I'm on now. Can you make out what that is? Is it too close? Am I wasting my time? Now I'm going to flip back so I can see what you guys wrote. And Conflict Magazine, how you doing? Can you guys, so I flipped back to what I'm trying to show you. Can you make that out? Am I too close? Am I wasting my time? Anybody? Yes? Yes means yes. No means no. Okay, here we go. So this is the main event. Last year, I went to this website. I picked out everything I want. And before I hit the order button, I thought, I'm going to wait. And then I never did it. That was a year ago, roughly. So I thought, this time I'm doing it. Birthday, this is happy birthday to me stuff. And what I did was I have the list here in case anybody's interested. The Hexon stuff is going to be used for primarily for the commands and colors stuff, but other things as well. So what I did was, in order to do a commands and colors size board, you need to order, again, I'm not sure you guys can see what I'm trying to show you, a set of Hexon boards, a box set. So each box contains 21 boards of 1 to 6 adjoining hexes, and these are 4 inches across from flat to flat. So I ordered a box of that, and then we have, let me go back. I didn't need to go back, but anyway, I also ordered, again, bear with me here, guys. I ordered, well, here's some hills, escarpments, and mountains. I did order a few hill sets. So, for instance, let's see, brown, green, here we go. I ordered an 8, a 4, and a 15 hex hill set. So here's the 15 hex hill set. This would not be used for commands and colors. This would be used for my own stuff. It just looks so darn good. Then I ordered, let's see, a hex hill set 1, which I don't know that I'll be able to show you that because I don't know that I can find it in a relatively short amount of time, or maybe I can. Hex hill. Well, take my word for it. I also ordered a hex hill set 1 flocked. And then I had ordered single hex hills. Now, here's the problem with those. The single hex, where are those at? Single hex features. Now, I'm going to show you the hills. Locked and ready to play. Oh, there's the 1 hex hill set. 1 hex hill set flocked. I think I ordered this. No, maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. Anyway, these are the single hex hills. And if you look at them, they look decent enough, but they are rounded. And I've seen miniatures set up on these, and they don't look right when you sit them on there. They lean, and they look like they're going to fall off. It doesn't look realistic to me. They need to be bigger in order for that to work. So what I did was just ordered a 4-pack of single hexes. So they would be much like this, but not rounded, which I can still use as hills, but again, they're not rounded. So there's that. And then I have so a couple of these brook sets for the streams, and let's see, a brook source. So that would be this guy here, a lake set. Quite a lot of stuff I've ordered, and in fact, I had to change the order once. These people probably love me at this point. They had everything ready to go, and they figured shipping, and I thought, you know what? I don't want the rounded hex hills. I want to change the main boards from green to green earth so it doesn't look like a carpet. And I added a couple of things, but they were really good about it. And I'm going to bring it back to me, so say goodbye to that. And yeah, they were sweethearts about it, and they didn't send anybody. Oh, that's nice. They didn't send anybody to commit arson where I live here. Sorry about that. The camera fell off. Isn't that nice? Let me see if I can get you back. Maybe not. There we go. Let's see if that works. Really sorry about that, y'all. Literally, the camera fell off, and does it still work? Does the microphone still work? What are we talking? What are we talking about here? All right. You guys still hear me after the camera tried to commit suicide? Yes. All right. Tyrell with the quick responses. So where I'm at with the, and again, that was Callistra Limited. Type that in if you're interested. Hexon terrain system. Now, I didn't go over prices for an obvious reason. It's not cheap. But again, this wasn't an impulse buy. I've been thinking about this probably over a year. I've finally pulled the trigger on it. Now, some things about that. I call it the last word in tabletop terrain. I think it's unbeaten as far as look and functionality. The size, however, could be a problem. Now, it will be great for a 6mm up to 15mm, but once you get above 15mm, especially like 28mm, your 28mm figures are not going to look right on that size terrain. They're going to look like they're in Alice in Wonderland or something. You know, the terrain hexes themselves need to be bigger to be adequate for a 28mm range. But if that's not a problem, then yeah, by all means, I encourage it. The other thing I would mention, and it is the obvious thing, it's hexes. So you could argue it doesn't limit you to tabletop games that just use hexes. You could still use measuring sticks and rulers, etc., and ignore the hexes. But then, what's the point of having hexes? So I mean, if most of the stuff that you lean towards and do entails use of measuring sticks and non-hex terrain, then again, this is probably not for you. Anything else I would add? No, I think that's it. So bear in mind the scale, the cost factor. It's not cheap, and this stuff's coming from England as well. So I still am awaiting my shipping price, which I'm hoping will take place tomorrow, so I can pay them tomorrow. And then once that's in the mail, maybe two to 4 weeks, give or take, mid to late September before it shows up. And then I will have, you can bet your bottom britches, a video showcasing that, and I will be smiling ear to ear when that gets here. Anything else? Let me think here. A couple shout outs, if I can think of them. I would like to give a shout out to his channel on YouTube is drumroll, Medieval Warrior. I just subscribed to him maybe a couple months ago, but the guy's doing good stuff. Now, here's the rub. It's mostly medieval stuff, hence the channel, Medieval Warrior. But even for those of you, and me included, I don't own anything medieval other than Commands and Colors Medieval. I don't have any miniatures. I don't know that I have a single game that deals with anything medieval, maybe one or two. But the stuff that he does as far as his collection of miniatures, his ability to paint them, and his rules reviews are very well done, very professional, and enjoyable to watch. So hats off to Medieval Warrior. Seems like there was a couple other folks. Apologies for forgetting, but wanted to give a shout out for that. Is that pounds or dollars? What was that in reference to? JT Jed. JT Jed, pounds or dollars? Well, obviously it was in reference to the Callistra. That would be in pounds. Not sure what you saw there. So again, I will withhold the total final cost that this Hexon terrain stuff is gonna cost me, but it's not a little dent in the wallet. But again, been wanting it for a while, not an impulse buy. Feel confident about it, and it's quality stuff. For those of you that are still here, anybody has any questions, now's the time. Battle Cry 150. Yeah, well, there's still other copies out there, I'm sure. I just got it on eBay. You're going to pay more than you should for it. That's just how it goes. I shouldn't think you would have to pay more than $50 for it, but you know, you're going to have to scour the internet for that. And this one, the one I got, is used. As you can see, the flags are already stickered, and the box has some wear, but it's not a problem for me. So. Little LA Guns. You guys remember LA Guns? Am I showing my age here? It's good stuff. Question. Somebody posted, what do you think about the Great War? Another, yeah, okay, so you're right. The commands and color system is, whether you like it or not, you have to admit it's somewhat ingenious, because it is applicable to a number of eras, virtually all eras, in my opinion, though there are a few that he's yet to do, probably because he just hasn't done it yet. I don't think there's a modern or a Vietnam, but he's got the space one, science fiction-y space one. There's even a samurai one, and I bought 2 of them. Now, that was done by Zvezda Games, and the weird thing about that is this came out a few years ago, and there's 2 rule systems in there. You can do the commands and color system or the art of tactics system. It comes with miniatures, fantastic miniatures, I would add, which is why I bought 2 of them. And you will see those miniatures on that Callistra terrain at some point as well. But now that I mention that, this is not to be confused with and I'm coming to the Great War, so bear with me. This is called Samurai Battles, and it's not to be confused with the Samurai Commands and Color System GMT is releasing. It is Commands and Colors System Samurai, but it's not the same thing. There's going to be blocks, I presume, for the GMT version. And I mentioned this before. I wonder about the rights, because I would assume that Zvezda Games owns the rights to Samurai Battles, but I guess they're changing it up enough that he can go ahead and release it through GMT as well. I mean, the guy he's got to be making some nice money, because there's so many of these commands and color systems that have been applied to eras. Which brings us to, yeah, so there's Napoleonics, which I have all of, and it's fantastic, and the Ancients, and now Medieval is the next foray into the commands and color system, with many, many modules to come. I can't wait till they get to like the Agincourt stuff, those types of battles. But then you have also the Great War stuff. Now, I don't own it. I've seen pictures of it. I've seen videos. I've read here and there about it. It seems to look all right. I believe it's miniatures, if memory serves. I guess I should add that the Great War is something that intrigues me, but it's not my strong suit. I don't have a lot of games that represent that era. I don't have a whole lot of experience with that era. Maybe that's the place to start. Not sure, but for those that are considering it, I would say, sure, why not? If you like the system, I mean, it's hard to go wrong. And MMR 44 is your World War II stuff, right? I would argue, though, for anybody considering, now for those of you that already have it, fine. I'm not trying to change your mind, but for those of you considering a Memoir 44, I would say you could do better. I understand you may like the system as I do, but when it comes to World War II, there's just, no offense, there's better things out there, especially for somebody who's looking for something light, beer and pretzels, introductory. You've got things like Conflict of Heroes. You got things like Combat Commander. You even have the ASL starter kits now. So there are a number of options, and that's just a few, right? A number of options to choose from, such that before you jump the gun, pun intended, and grab Memoir 44, consider the other options. And I mean that wholeheartedly, sincerely, and honestly. Does that answer your question? Is it JT Jed? JT Jed. Hopefully that does. Tyrell is not a bot. That's refreshing. What else? Guess I could share a story with you. I do have one story from St. Louis. I'm not proud of this. Could have ended badly. Luckily, it didn't. Not sure I can laugh at it yet, but maybe at some point I can look back and laugh on it. When I go to bed at night, it's probably more information than you want to know, and I'll come back to your medieval's more late antiquity, right? Yes, late antiquity. Yes, early 6th century. That's correct. So when I bought this game, I couldn't believe how early it was, and I thought, my God, that's really cutting it close. You could argue this is ancient stuff, but they're the barber. They know about the hair they're cutting, and I don't. Let's see. The first scenario, right, is I've already forgotten. 447 A.D. So that's what Udus River, and this is the Hun army versus the Roman army. I mean, it's apparently it's medieval era, but the good stuff's coming with this medieval stuff. It's coming. Not that that's bad stuff, but the fun, juicy stuff, right, is coming. The Agincourt battles and things like that. I hope they'll publish more scenarios and some expansions on this. Still waiting on some Crusaders. As far as scenarios for Commands and Colors in general, even though they're not official, if you go to commandsandcolors.net, and that goes for Napoleonics, Ancients, and I assume now for Medieval, many people post scenarios that they've come up with that you can try. Now, they're not the official scenarios, but still fun to play, and I would imagine that the powers that be take note of the scenarios that are submitted and may even perhaps borrow from that canon for official later releases. I don't have verification on this, but it is a theory that I'm fond of. Anyway, in St. Louis, as I'm wont to do, when I go to sleep at night, I listen to a podcast. It sounds like an advertisement. It's not. And when I get about 90% of sleep, I have to turn it off. Otherwise, my brain will keep listening to what's going on. Even though I'm mostly asleep, I don't get completely asleep because my brain won't turn off, right? Where did I end stream? We still good? Why does this turn blue and sometimes it doesn't? Anyway, that distracted me. So yeah, my brain won't turn off, so I have to turn it off. But the problem is, I have to. You're mostly asleep, right? So I'm turning it off, and I'm gonna go. And this particular night, it's about 11 o'clock at night. Everybody's gone to bed. I'm in the basement sleeping, and I wake up to turn the podcast off. And there's a configuration such that if you hit the buttons a certain way on the iPhone, you make an emergency call, which then contacts 911. And I'm trying to turn my phone off, and this happens, and I'm like, what the hell, no way. And I hear like a siren, like a through my phone, and I don't know what the hell's happening, and I finally get it to shut off. I'm like, my God, that was close, And then the phone rings. 911, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I apologize, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the phone where it does the emergency call, which then contacts 911. Everything's fine. It's not an emergency. I apologized as profusely as I could. They said, okay, we'll let them know it was an accident. Fair enough. I proceed to go back to sleep. Perhaps 40 to 45 minutes passes. We hear the dog barking, some scuttling across the floor, and I come to find out later that it is the sheriff's deputy at the front door knocking. And my stepdad, bless his soul, is one who is very cautious, doesn't understand what's taking place or what's going on. He answers the door with a shotgun in his hand. And of course, when he opens up, the policeman is startled by this and asks him to, get rid of the weapon, etc. That goes okay. Could have ended poorly because the guy, you have to understand, the guy's coming, answering the 911 call, doesn't know why, and somebody answers the door with a gun. He could have easily assumed that this was the reason somebody called 911, right? There's the guy with a gun. This is the issue I need to deal with. Well, anyway, luckily that didn't end poorly. And he asked my stepdad, did you call 911? No, I didn't. Did it? Who else is here? My wife, she's in there asleep. No, she didn't either. He's like, well, we received a 911 call from here and was told it was an accident, but we still have to check it out. No, everything's fine. Policeman leaves. He doesn't search the house, blah, blah, blah. Then my mother decides that, well, maybe something's wrong with Jason in the basement and he had a seizure and tried to call for help, and that's what's going on. So they come downstairs. Jason, you all right? Yes, Jason's fine. I accidentally dialed, 911, and I feel like the village idiot, but that's what happened, and everything ended up okay. But my Lord, and the thing that is concerning is because of where they live. It took the police 40 to 45 minutes to show up. So if something was wrong, somebody would have bled out. I think maybe we could have crawled to the hospital faster than the police made it there. And that's no offense. That means not. I mean, no ill will to the police department. You guys are doing, for the most part, great work. But 40 to 45 minutes to show up is a little concerning for a 911 call. It was a scary story, and it could have ended very poorly for a number of reasons. Luckily, it didn't. So that's my St. Louis story. And what else can I talk about that has nothing to do with war games? Because this is a war game channel, and that's what we do. For those of you that know, big hockey fan and big St. Louis Blues fan, the Blues are out of it, which is fine with me. I would argue there shouldn't even be sports or hockey right now, but that's just my opinion. It means nothing. That said, there is hockey, and because there is, I watch it. And that's smart, Conflict Mag. Very smart. Colorado Avalanche, fun to watch. Nathan MacKinnon, probably the Kobe Bryant of the NHL, or the John McEnroe of NHL, or whatever you want to fill in the blank with. God, he's so fun to watch. He does it all, and he does it fast. They were down 3-1 against Dallas, and they've come back to tie the series with Game 7 tomorrow night. So that's going to be a hell of a watch. And that also ties in with the same Dallas team that we beat in Game 7 of the second round, which is what this is, last year. So imagine Dallas, the Dallas Stars, bless their hearts, thinking, here we go again. But I'm all for the Avs, so we'll see what happens there. Obviously, that's about it. I'm really just rambling at this point. So that was the main reason for the live stream. This whole here, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 games, six games, and then these 28 millimeter Napoleonics, British, and yet even more of the risk figures that I use for smaller scale, large Legrand bottles when it comes to Napoleonics. And I would say that, speaking of Legrand bottles, that is the next GMT installment for Commands and Colors Napoleonics. And I don't know that you're welcome, JT. Jesus, I'm sorry, JT Jed. You don't have to stick around. Appreciate you stopping by. Got back into wargaming during the lockdown. Look around battles, GMT. You don't need it unless you have 15 friends to play with you because it's just too much. Literally, it's too much. It's cool, but it's too much. Got back into wargaming during the lockdown. Now, why did you get out of it? I would ask. And do you have any old school faves that you used to play? And a third question: what got you back into it? And literally, what got you back into it? Which game did you crack open and say, okay, I'm back? Feel free to answer. If not, that's fine too. You can remain um, enigmatic and secretive. Risk Europe. Hey, conflict. I was wondering about that. I looked up 2 nights ago. Is there any medieval stuff for Risk? There has to be, and there is. Not sure how I feel about the figures that come with Risk Europe, but that does exist, and that is an option for those who want to do what I do with the Risk Napoleonic stuff. If you want to have huge battles with medieval figures, you can kit bash a Risk Europe set. But I wasn't particularly, not that they're awful, I wasn't particularly fond of the minis, the style that they were done in. Some were okay, some lesser so. Not enough to do it though. So, but that is an option. Yeah, you're right. Lost interest about 10 years ago, JT Jed says. Too much stuff going on, career, etc. SPQR, that is what got me back into wargaming. So conflict, you've played SPQR and you like that? Because I have looked at that, and it's piqued my curiosity. In fact, I see a lot of people. That game gets some love. It must be for good reason. I think a number of times there is a such thing as fad, right, and bandwagon, and whether we do it, and I do it too, consciously or unconsciously, we tend to follow what we see, and well, he's got this, it must be good, I'm going to get it, but I don't think that's the case with SPQR. I think it gets some genuine love because it's a decent game. Not that I played it, but that's my gut feeling. And God bless Enrico, man. That guy, I don't know what he does for a living, or what his free time is, such that he's allowed such an overwhelming amount of time to devote to gaming and filming. Hats off to him. But my Lord, that guy is just relentless with his playing and video streaming of those games. It's impressive. Okay, so now JT Jed cuts to now. Found an old copy of Paths of Glory in the basement. Now that's a hell of a find in the basement. Now I'm going to rampage and buying games like crazy. All right, well, I would say enjoy the ride, enjoy the rampage, but maybe slow it down just a hair, because you don't want to make the same mistake I have made, and you don't want to drown yourself in things you're not playing. Okay, maybe you do. What I would add, you might not want that. Some would argue you can never have too many games. Some would argue you can. If you find yourself surrounded with games you haven't opened, that you're not playing, and you're still buying and buying and buying, are you playing, or are you just collecting at that point? And either one's fine. Just be aware of what you're doing. Not to sound like I'm lecturing. I apologize. I'm not trying to lecture. Golden, yeah, Paths of Glory, I have that. And again, here's a case in point. A game that has sat on the shelf unplayed for years. I know it's a great game because of what I've read about it in the reviews. It's apparently fantastic. I wouldn't know personally because it's still sitting on the shelf unplayed. And embarrassingly, that goes the same for an embarrassing number of games. I too have gone on many rampages and just bought. But we have the intention of, at some point, I will play that, right? So that's not to say that I will never play it. And also, let's see, 4 Risk Europes. You did Conflict. Now, Conflict Mag, with your Risk Europes, what game system are you using for your minis that you got from the Risk Europe's. There's Sword Point, which is supposed to be pretty good. Saga, can you use those miniatures for Saga? You wouldn't need four Risk sets to play Saga, though. That's more like a skirmish thing, I think. I would be interested to know what. Yeah, I'd be interested to know what rule system you're using, or what you're using the Risk Europe's for. Had some games from the 90s from the Polish company named Taktika i Strategia. I am vaguely familiar with that name. And then upgraded to Simonich Zone of Control games, ZOC, Zone of Control games. Simonich, one of the, in my opinion, if not yet, should be Hall of Fame game designers. I have a slew of his games. That's the guy with like things like Ardennes 44, Holland 44. Probably the most exciting year in World War II was 44. You got the Battle of the Bulge. You got Operation Market Garden. Feel free to add to the list. 44 was a hell of a year for battles in World War II. The best. Deluxe SPQR and the new Men of Iron Tri-Pack. Get them before they go away. I know you are right, and I had Men of Iron Tri-Pack pre-ordered, and I killed it. I probably killed it a month after I did it. I said, I don't need that. Even though it's a great buy, I recommend anybody, like Conflict Mag said, do actually buy that. It's a hell of a buy for the money. And it will go out of print again, and then you're going to be stuck paying $150, $200 for the damn thing. JT Jet and Commands and Colors games that I played with the kids and wife. And as the song goes, oh, what a lucky man you are, because we don't all have that luxury. The other heavier one by myself, Solitaire, that must be the Paths of Glory you're referring to. Simple Great Battles of History. I don't know what that is. What is it, like standard combat versus operational combat? Is that a good analogy? Simple Great Battles is a watered down, light diet version of Great Battles, and that is not a knock on it. But I have heard about this, and I'm a little less familiar about it than I should be. Is that the way to go by way of introduction to the system, in your opinion? Lighten Great Battles of History load if it's too fiddly for anyone. No Enemies Here. What's up? What's up, Rocky? Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm glad you fixed the drinking problem. I just watched that. I appreciate your sense of humor, sir. Right up my alley, in my wheelhouse. Go Avs. The Risk Europe stuff is, and for those of you that don't know, maybe you do, No Enemies Here. Check out his channel. It's great stuff. Every Saturday morning you get a new show. It's not chopped up with commercials and nonsense and crap. Okay, maybe there's a little nonsense, but it's good nonsense. And fun to watch. He does an overview of what's going on in the hobby, new releases, pre-orders, what people are doing in the hobby themselves. He's had my channel on there a couple times. And the thing I appreciate the most is he'll showcase up-and-coming channels, things that are lesser known. He'll do interviews with the famous folks, Mark Herman, etc. But again, the stuff that I appreciate is the lesser-known folks that he brings into the spotlight. Because just because you're not famous doesn't mean you're not doing interesting things that people should know about. Drinking problem, yeah. So we've got JT Jed knows all about Mr. Dan Panaloon, or Dan Panzini. Simple Great Battles of History. I love that we speak in acronyms these days, and it goes for a lot of things. There's now a single rule book you can use for the majority of Great Battles of History without needing to reference the original rule books, and reduces a lot of dice rolling. Well, that sounds like that's the way to go. For somebody like myself who is unfamiliar with the Great Battles of History system and would like to get into it, you want to check out Simple Great Battles of History, and don't let the simple turn you off. Anything else? Anybody? Are you drinking the Guinness from the bottle? Why wouldn't I be? Yes, I am. I suppose I could be civilized and pour it in a glass. And you know what? That's the proper way to drink this. And not to be snobbish, but I know there is a correct way to drink Guinness. You pour it in a glass a certain way, and you have to let it sit for a while. It has to do this thing. And after it does the thing, it turns a different color, and then you can drink it. And there's a certain temperature you ideally wanted at. I don't know that keeping it in the fridge is the way to go. Maybe it is. Maybe room temperature. Maybe a little less than room temperature. Anyway, it's so good. It's good either way. You know, you could pour this on anything and make it taste good. I've got some case in point, some old shoe leather in there that I gnaw on occasionally. Pour a little Guinness on it. I don't know the difference. I think I'm eating like gourmet meat or something. Yeah, right, heathen, whatever. I take pride in my heathenness. Is Ash Isk. Heathen, we heathens. Black and tan. If I was doing Guinness in this weather being the heat, am I the only? Surely I'm not the only one that's permanently evaporating like on a permanent basis as I go inside, outside, upside down. Everything seems to be hot no matter what I do. It's miserable. I went on a bike ride yesterday, took a shower. I come out of the shower and I don't think I dried off for 3 hours. The water, I dried off, but I didn't. You sweat and it's ridiculous. How about more non-board game related stuff? Do you guys exercise or do anything like that? And I don't. I bring it up because I feel like a weirdo. I feel like I should be sitting in a chair, rotting, and doing nothing but painting and drinking and watching things. But during the 19, I dug my bike out of the shed and I fixed the wheels, and there was problems with it that I corrected. And I haven't looked back. It's been every other day I ride 11 miles, and I'm riding, I'm pumping, man. And I'm addicted now. I'm totally smitten. And I think, what's wrong with me? I usually hate to exercise. Manual labor is egregious to me. But I really enjoy the bike riding stuff. And you've heard the term runner's high. Yeah, it's real. It's a real thing. Yeah, adrenaline. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a real thing. You can get addicted to it. And when I'm at work and I think, okay, I can go home and ride, most of the time I get like this weird, exciting feeling, like ooh, that it's a brain chemical thing. Is all it is. Yeah, that's a good motto to live by. Do what makes you happy every day, and to hell with the rest. Yeah. Okay, that's hard to argue. Yeah. I don't drink as much as I used to. I feel like that's a flaw, character flaw. Me and drinking have just completely gone. And you might think otherwise because every time you see me, I typically have one of these. But I'll be honest with you, that's really about the only time I do drink, and it's only one or two. And all the bars here in New Orleans, all the bars here, I see that. I'm going to comment on that in a second, Dan. All the bars here in New Orleans are still closed. My God, it's awful. Not just for me, but you know how many people the bars here in New Orleans employ? Because we got a lot of them. And that also includes no live shows. Still done. They won't open them. Phase 2 just will not die. It's not good down here. No one even is here. Are you pulling my leg? So Dan's saying he got a tattoo, and don't say it's a tattoo of a chicken on your calf, so you can say, pardon my French, so you can say your cock hangs below your knees. That doesn't count. You actually got a tattoo. What of? When? How big? Did it hurt? Everybody always says, "Did it hurt?" Yes, it hurt. It's not unbearable, but yeah, it hurt. If it doesn't hurt, they're not doing it right. A W? Come on, man. You're lying. See, I knew you set me up, man. I'm not even going to repeat that. Dan got a tattoo that says "Wow" on a certain part of his body with the O on a certain part. I'll let you use your imagination. Oh, that's even better. When he's upside down, smells mom. That's very. Spells mom. That's very clever. I hope you did get that. I hope you're serious. I hope you get that and you have to live with that the rest of your life, sir. Did you get that? You didn't get that. That's it all out. No more beer, none in the fridge. I still got to eat dinner. Yeah, the storms were scary. We were looking at two storms that were going to combine, and we're heading towards New Orleans. Uh, they were going to go somewhere, and it was not going to be pretty wherever they went. But they went west of New Orleans, and maybe that's a bit of I don't know what to call it, but Katrina, you still feel, and I wasn't living here then, but you still feel the effects of Katrina now. There are whole areas that are still wiped out from Katrina that weren't rebuilt. Um, all right, see you, Dan. If you bring it up, it's still like it happened yesterday. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to remember it. I've already said this that when I worked at the mailroom at UNO, University of New Orleans, there was this picture book of Katrina, and I was like, oh wow, this is awful. I mean, look at this. And no, I don't want to see that. I lived through it. I'm like, valid point taken. I apologize. But yeah, those two storms were going to combine, and I feel bad. I say luckily they went west, but then they just hit somebody else. It's not like it was a happy ending. And we have a lot of those folks from Lake Charles that have been relocated to New Orleans. Not all of them, but a big majority of them, and have been put up in hotels because they've lost everything. And while I was in St. Louis, I didn't have my car. Not that that was an issue, but there was no way to come down here and grab things. The cat, my SL stuff. I've already said, if something happens and I have to grab some games, but I can only grab a certain amount and I got to get out of here, it's going to be the ASL stuff. But anyway, what am I going to drive 12 hours down here, grab this stuff, 12 hours back? I stuck it out, and luckily I had a home to come home to, but it could have ended very, very poorly by way of the storms for yours truly. And again, my heart goes out to those that it did affect, because it affected a lot of people. And I have to say that we're only halfway through the hurricane season here. It's a real deal. It's scary. I haven't had to deal with a bona fide hurricane yet. It will happen. We've had scares. We've had closures, city closures in anticipation of getting hit by hurricanes. I've had to go to the store and stock up on stuff, but luckily we've been lucky. So, but statistically, it will happen at some point. Hopefully, it's not so bad that I'm homeless. So there's that. Be glad your state is smarter than mine. I don't know about that. We are in the top 5 for COVID cases where I'm at. Louisiana is not a smart state. We have a lot of problems. Our educational system is horrible. Our crime rate is horrible. We have a lot of problems, and that don't seem like any of them are being addressed. And not to get political, because I can very easily, there seems like there are things going on that people will focus on because they're, for lack of a better term, sexier issues. But the things that I feel like perhaps bear more attention are not. They don't seem to be getting focused on, in my opinion. And that the crime rate here, the murder rate is one of those things. Nobody seems to be concerned about that. People just accept it as an everyday thing, which is horrible. Every day there's multiple shootings in New Orleans here. It's just ridiculous. And people just accept it. Nobody's marching the streets over that. That's all I'll say. I'm done. I've already said too much. But my point is, Louisiana has its problems. I'm not sure what state you're from, conflict, but Missouri is where I'm from, and they're not going about things very smartly either. I know the mask thing is a political issue, and people feel very strongly about it one way or another, but I have to say, a little common sense goes a long way. And why would you not want to wear a mask in certain, I'm not saying every day, I see people driving in the car alone and they got a mask on. I think that's ridiculous. Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but it is. If you're outside in the open air, nobody's around you, yeah, the mask thing is at best optional. But there are times when you need a mask, and I mean, come on, you do. And the mask thing was passed in Missouri, in the county that I'm from, as a mandatory thing for like restaurants and whatnot, right? And people got so offended by that, they repealed it because you're taking away my freedom, all that stuff, and that's ridiculous. Uh, it's just ridiculous. I call it a celebration of ignorance, but whatever. Again, I'm not saying you got to wear a mask in your sleep every day, every hour of the day, but there's times when common sense goes a long way, and a mask is probably not just for your own sake, but for those around you's sake, the right thing to do, right? Outskirts of Atlanta, ATL, Atlanta. Atlanta, how does that? How's Atlanta? And yeah, I'm sure it's hot there, right? Dan Webb, my God, are you still you still watch hockey, Dan? I'm sorry to bring this up every time. I never see you much, but I do know you were a hockey fan at one time with the Red Wings, and you guys are going to come back around. The pendulum swings. You had your time, and now you're on a downswing, but it's going to come back for you. Just be patient. It's going to come back for the Red Wings. Mask and gloves, any outside trip past the mailbox. Well, I mean, to each their own. But like I said, common sense can go a long way. And it's silly that people have to be, that anybody even has to be told anything. It's like I said, it should just be basic knowledge that if I'm going into a certain situation, I should probably wear a mask, such that we wouldn't have to be told to wear a mask, and it wouldn't be an issue, right? Ah, well, whatever. I think that's about all I got. Anything else? Anything anybody wants to ask me? Anything anybody wants to get off their chest? It doesn't have to be war game related. I mean, we're all grown folks here with our long pants on. Okay, maybe I have shorts on, but let's see. Time to get College Friday started. Stay safe and play hard. Yeah, fair enough. All right, Conflict. Take care. JT Jed, take care. I'm going to go eat dinner. You're right. I am hungry. Thank you for reminding me. Dan, take care. Tyrell, take care. Those of you that will watch this later, take care. Be safe, everybody. Just use common sense. That's all. I mean, it's not hard. It's easy. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.